don't think this is under warranty anymore. It's just nuts and bolts, right? Tubes, wires. How hard can it be? My name is Jimmy Sparks. I wanted to create a show that showcases collections and collectors. Expert mega collector Doug Smith and I have no trouble finding incredible collections in every category you can think of, and in any neighborhood in any city. No selling, no buying, no haggling. We're not interested and they're not either. We are all about the stuff. It's collecting. Seriously.
Hey Jimmy, what are you doing?
Oh, hey Doug.
Watch out for the B+ voltage.
Ow! Oh!
The B+ voltage off the vacuum tubes.
Oh, that's smart. You know, I don't think this thing's ever going to work. I wish I knew more about the super heterodyne circuitry of these 1930s radios. You know, it was my grandfather's, and I would just love to see it work again.
Hey, does this have the C65 chassis?
Well, of course it does. You know, 6.5, 6.7, 4, you know, whatever it takes, pretty much.
Do you mind if I take a look at it?
Knock yourself out.
Do you have a crescent wrench?
Yep.
You know, a lot of people don't realize that you have to bleed the air out of the lines.
Or you get spongy airwaves, right?
You know what I wish I had was a... Yeah.
Wow, what did you do?
Well, the OFFON switch was just out of adjustment.
Ah, the OFFON switch. I swear you could fix anything.
Well, I don't know that much about jet aircraft. But, you know, I know a guy that can tear these old radios apart blindfolded.
Blindfolded? I think I could probably do that too. I mean, I could tear them apart. I just couldn't put it back together again. So
yeah, I think we've seen evidence of that here. You know, the first collector we have on today's show developed a real love for these old radio sets. And like most collectors, he's got a room devoted entirely to his hobby.
And you know, also in his basement, there's another room that we couldn't resist showing you first. Throughout collecting seriously, you may see this logo.
A fool.
We think a good way to check out somebody's collection without feeling overwhelmed is to, in your own mind, categorize what it is you're actually seeing. Most collections may consist of bulk, the mass or size of it all. Fun items, the pieces that people are naturally drawn to. Unique items, the rare, limited, one-of-a-kinds, and usually the most valuable pieces. And the ace in the hole, which is anything the collector has pride owning. It can be the best, the first, the favorite, or even something they don't have yet. Not all collections have these traits, but following these 4 guidelines might help you not to get lost.
A fool.
Hey Bill, how's it going?
Good. Doug, I'm glad you could stop out today.
Hey, thanks for having me out.
Tell you what, let's go over to the soda bar and have something.
Wow, this is really neat, Bill. I didn't realize that you had all of this.
Well, thanks, Doug. You know, over the years as I've been collecting, as I travel around, I've always liked tin signs, so I picked up these and started decorating the basement with them.
Well, you've done a great job. Diner, barber shop, apothecary, and confectionery, and grocery store. I mean, I think you got all your bases covered here, don't you?
Well, you know, when I grew up, the center of our little small town was the soda bar. And in the soda bar, they had neon signs and they had light-up clocks and tin signs advertising. So it's kind of like when I decorated, I thought of what was it like when I was growing up, and I tried to recreate that in the basement.
You know, I really love that Coca-Cola fountain there. Is that an original?
Yes, it is. That reminds me of the little theater in the town I grew up in. And the way that worked is that there were actually 2 canisters underneath it, one with carbonated water and the other with syrup. And then you'd open up the top and you'd fill it full of ice, and that would help keep everything cold, so when you mixed it and dispensed it, it would be nice and cold.
I noticed your jukebox and you have teardrop speakers on the wall. Are those hooked up?
Yes, they are. The speakers themselves actually were black when I first got them. I went ahead and painted them turquoise to match the color of the jukebox.
Well, Bill, we've been waiting 10 minutes now at least. What's it take to get waited on around here?
Hey guys, welcome to Bill's Soda Shop. Today's special is cheeseburger, fries, Green River, $1.25. What'll it be?
Dang, you got the bottle that goes with that cap?
No, it didn't come with a bottle. Actually, this is off the back of a delivery truck from the early 1960s. And they only used this for about half a year, and then what happened was the signs got so dented and beat up, they couldn't keep up with them, so they ended up taking them all off the trucks.
Bill, this is a great place to entertain friends, but I came over to see your radio collection.
Well, let's go take a look. Well, Doug, this is the radio room. This is what I've been collecting for all these years and working on.
This is really outstanding. More than a radio, weren't they a furniture centerpiece for the family?
You know, they really were. And that's what got me started collecting radios. I don't have an electrical background at all. I'm into woodworking, and years ago when I was going through an antique store, I saw 2 old wood consoles, and I got looking closely at the wood, and I realized that the walnut burl on there, it would cost me more to go buy that than this radio itself was worth. So I ended up buying those 2 radios just because I like the wood in them.
Look at this set over here. That looks like a ship signal light, like they used to flash Morse code from ship to ship with.
A lot of times radios were produced for specific markets. We would call that a novelty radio. There's a segment of the marketplace that would buy a radio like that simply for its looks. Like some people like Art Deco designs. Some other people might like a low boy or a high boy design cabinet. The novelty style is something, again, different.
So how many sets do you think you have? Have you ever counted them all?
You know, I had a bet one night with my wife about that, and unfortunately I lost the bet, but it turned out I have over 300 sets here in the basement. I'm very particular to the Art Deco sets with chrome grills. I think when that came out in 1933, I think it was a fantastic way to try to sell radios because the market was trying to recover from the Depression in '29, and it took years for that to really happen. But one of the people in the radio market figured out that, hey, if I put a chrome grill in here, it's going to make this look really modern.
And those sets are probably some of the most collectible and valuable today.
You know, they still are. Art Deco seems to be a strong theme, and no matter what type of, if it's lamps or pictures or design work, Art Deco still seems to be pretty strong in this country. The radio you're looking at right now is what's called the Bloodmere Spartan, or a 557 sled. It's from 1935. Spartan made a line of fully mirrored radios that year that are very rare and collectible today. And the reason they're so rare is because the glass has a tendency to crack, and once it's broken, collectors just aren't that interested in it.
Hey Bill, I noticed over on the wall here you have a bunch of Majestic radio advertising and then some sets out here in the front. Is that one of your favorite brands?
Yes, it is. You know, what happened was when I first started collecting radios, there are so many different styles and models, and you can't begin to collect them all. So what happened was I started noticing some of the most Art Deco designs were from a company called Majestic in Chicago. And in their advertising, it showed me pictures and descriptions and models on each set. So that gave me something to work from. So I was able to collect everything from their advertising, so I know I would have a complete set of what Majestic made. This is from the Saturday Evening Post. And Christmas was a big time for radio sales, as you might imagine. As a matter of fact, some dealers even had like a savings program, and you had like a passbook, and you would save your money all year long to buy your radio at Christmas because it was a gift for the whole family. Well, anyway, I came across this ad in the Saturday Evening Post, and it showed all these very Art Deco radios. So I kind of set out on a quest to try to acquire each one of the radios in this piece of advertising.
So do you have them all now?
No, I'm still looking for one radio. One of them has eluded me all these years.
And which one is that?
And that's this model right here.
Well, this area here is filled with smaller radios. Are these considered tabletops then?
As radio evolved, it initially became radio was for the living room for the whole family to gather around and listen to. In order to sell more radios, they had to cost less. So they actually started making radios smaller in size. As we worked our way out of the Depression, the engineers continued to refine their manufacturing and got to the point where they could produce more radios for less money. And dealers were even going so far as to taking in your big old 4-model console. We'll take that in on trade, and we'll help you finance new radios for every room in your house. Now everybody had a small radio in their own room, and they could go listen to what they wanted to. It was quite an advertising gimmick to move radios.
This is really a fun-looking radio.
Yeah, what happened here was back in the 30s, a lot of stations carried the Charlie McCarthy program, and he was very humorous, a funny kind of character. So Majestic Radio Company picked up on that popularity, and produced a set with his likeness on it. So this was a quick way to sell radios by working off a program that was already out there.
So where does your collection go from here? Are you still collecting?
You know, I do still look for items, but what happens is I've got probably 98% of everything of what I would like to collect. So there's very little out there for me to collect right now. I think a lot of times people get into collecting and it's worth something to them. To me, value starts to fade away because the idea of worth is I enjoy this, it's something I want to do, and I derive pleasure from it. So a lot of times if you're solely looking at value, maybe you shouldn't be collecting, maybe you should be doing other things with your money. But you know, collecting is done to me for the pleasure of having that and enjoying it. And to me, that's really the part of collecting that I don't like to put a price on.